I genuinely want to know if you are low income in America, what is your rent? Because I know across America it is extremely different. Where it's funny because some people will see my rent and say it's extremely affordable. Because if you're in California, 2,100 for a three-bedroom is literally impossible. So we've never been able to afford a 2,100 like rent. We have no choice at this point, and so we're going to be cutting down in other like places in our finances. But genuinely curious, if you are considered low income in America, how much is your rent?
How are people, as I'm drinking a probably $7 coffee, how are people affording to live right now? And I know a lot of people like talk about it on here, but it's kind of just like at a certain point, like what are we gonna do about it? Yeah, I feel like I've been in that mental space right now. And I really try to, like, obviously, I try to get on here and talk about the happy stuff and, like, I don't know, be reflective and be grateful for what I have because I am super grateful for everything that I have. But honestly, like, life is so expensive right now. You want to ask for a raise at your job, yet you want to be grateful that you have a job. Yeah. And I like talking about, like, I don't like being vulnerable on here, and I know like it's people just need to be honest on here and obviously talk about things.
In this video, we're taking a look at clips and stories from real people. Real hard working families are struggling to afford life right now. And that's one of the questions a lot of people have. How are Americans and American families doing in this economy? Cost of inflation is just insane. People are having trouble paying for groceries. And right now, people are one or two paychecks from becoming homeless. Now, of course, there are some ways people are making it, and that is, of course, utilizing food banks for food or just moving in with family because that's going to help cut down on housing costs. And even though it's not the most ideal situation we're in right now, there are a lot of sacrifices we have to take in order to survive in this harsh environment. And it's really sad to see that a lot of American families are being pushed out of the middle class into poverty just because of how crazy things have gotten with the economy. We do know that the poorer class are just getting more poor as time goes on, and we're seeing the upper class become even wealthier because if you check out the stock market, it's right now at pretty close to all-time highs. Lower income families just don't have the privilege of investing in stocks. Let me know in the comments down below how you're doing and how you feel on this, and take a look at the rest of these clips.
Hey, I have a question. How are we like affording life right?
Got an answer for you. We're not. Nobody is affording life right now at all. Okay, the vast majority of people are working 50, 60, 70 hours a week to not even be able to pay their bills. And I'm not just talking minimum wage jobs. I'm talking people with
I'm a single mom of two little kids, and this is part two of how I make $68,000 a year income work for us. Based on the comments in my last video, I think I need to clarify that my take-home pay is $45,000 a year in the state of New York. A lot of people were saying that $68,000 for a family of three is good income, and I just don't really feel like that would be considered good income. But anyways, this list is a little bit weirder than the first one. First, the only cleaners I really use in my house are dish soap and bleach. I can clean anything I need with those two. Dish soap will get any grease off, get stains out, and then bleach will kill anything you need it to kill. So not having cleaning products for each separate room and all that saves a lot of money. Next, if I get gift cards for any reason, I always save them for when there's something I need to buy at that store. For example, my son, I can't always buy pants for at the thrift store because he's 7. A lot of times they'll have like holes or stains on them. So I had a Kohl's gift card and I was able to buy him a few pairs of pants in the fall. Next, my family and I, we don't really exchange gifts very often, especially not at Christmas time. Not really for birthdays or Mother's Day, Father's Day. Occasionally we'll like see something that reminds us of the other person, we'll buy it. But we're not big on buying gifts just to buy gifts. So especially at Christmas, that saves a ton of money because I'm not buying for my mom, my dad, my sister, my grandma. I don't buy for any family members besides my kids. However, if I do get a gift, I'll ask for, if someone asks me what I want as a gift, I'll ask for something practical that I've been needing to buy anyways, because that just is something I don't need to spend my own money on later, and it gives me a little bit of peace of mind. Next, we all know I love the thrift store, but I also thrift for unconventional things that you wouldn't expect to find at a thrift store. One of the big ones for me is pull-ups for my daughter because she uses them when she sleeps. And kids obviously outgrow pull-ups because at some point they stop peeing their pants. So you can always find unopened packages at the thrift store for really cheap. I just got a pack of 40 of them for $5. And that would have been like 20 bucks at the store. Another one, if me and my kids are leaving the house, we are taking snacks and drinks with us. I'm not getting caught with hungry, thirsty kids out of the house and having to spend a bunch of money. Obviously, sometimes we stop and get McDonald's or whatever, but most of the time they just need some water and they need a quick snack. And if we already have it and I don't have to buy a $3 water bottle, that's a big convenience for me. So if we're leaving the house, I'm always packing my lunch bag full of random little snacks and both their water bottles. Lastly, if I buy something and end up not needing it, I am returning it. I'm not letting wasted money sit in my house for something that I can't use. I don't care if it's inconvenient. I'm finding a way to return it even if it was $5. I know this list was a little more weird, but those are just more things I do to save money.
I'm a financial planner, and these days I'm having a lot of trouble giving people financial advice because it is so hard to actually budget in an environment where everything is so unbelievably expensive. It is almost impossible to get ahead. And what's also insane is how many people this is affecting. Like, I know people that are making well over six figures that are having to do math in the grocery store to make sure that they can afford groceries, or having to make like very deliberate decisions about their finances because they're struggling so much. And groceries is a huge thing, but like housing costs are another thing. And utilities have gone up for so many people. And just the amount of like cognitive effort and mental bandwidth that people are having to do to just like think about, can I afford like daily, day-to-day necessities? And this is even the case for me as someone who's a financial planner who makes pretty good money, who lives in New York City. I have to very deliberately think about the money that I'm spending and make very conscious decisions about my money in a way that maybe I didn't have to a couple years ago because of just how expensive everything has gotten. And it's not just day-to-day expenses, it's these long-term expenses too. Like when you think about, buying a home or having kids, like all of that feels very out of reach for people because of how expensive everything has gotten. And so if you feel like you are struggling financially or feeling squeezed financially in a way you weren't a couple years ago, this is something that I think many, many people are experiencing and not enough people are talking about it.
I'm genuinely very curious how other families are affording life right now, especially single income families. So we're single income. My husband's active duty military. We are fortunate enough to be debt free. We live in Colorado, which is a very expensive state. But the inflation on items in stores is just insane, like insane. Today we went to Target. I had made a list. I knew it was going to be a little bit more expensive because I was picking up 2 cans of formula instead of 1. We stuck to the list. It was not a lot of items. It was $260, and I did a double take. I'm like, excuse me? What? And on top of everything else that's going up in stores, our mortgage is increasing because property taxes and homeowners insurance both increased. Like combined is like $2,600 that it went up for the year, and that's several hundred extra that's going to be added to our mortgage. And my husband's paycheck is staying the same. And if I were to work, the cost of childcare would cancel out any income, and it's just it feels wild. It feels crazy, and I'm very curious how other people are doing it. And we even do Rover on the side because it's like a great thing that I can do, like earn some extra money, and it's so like, okay.
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living?
No, because honestly, how are we all surviving out there? I've been out of the US for about a year, and holy hell, have prices increased in the past year. Literally, everything across the board has increased. My little studio Airbnb is almost $3,000 a month. I'm renting this car from Turo. It's a Toyota Camry. It's nothing special, for $1,000 a month. Don't even get me started on my medical bills. For me to have labs done in Bali was only $14. For me to have labs done in the US as a cash patient, I don't have health insurance, is almost $1,500 for those exact same tests. What are we doing out here? Like, how are things so expensive in the US when compared to other countries around the world? Y'all, I know you guys get pissed off that I say this, but I am adamant that it is so much cheaper to live abroad than it is to struggle living paycheck to paycheck in the US as an American.
Popping in with a little friendly reminder that it is incredibly normal to be on a budget. The more I'm online, the more I see people actively showing them not living on a budget. And it's so easy to fall into this like trap of believing that budgeting is not the norm. And living in New York City, it's also very, very, very easy to see people who do not live lives on budgets. But over the past 6 years, I've learned a thing or two about how to save money in living in New York City. And I have some hot takes about it. I've seen some other creators do this. I'll tag them in the comments because I loved their videos. Here are some things that I do in New York City to basically afford to live here. So one, I work full time. I've never not been able to be unemployed here. I wouldn't have it any other way. I enjoy being employed and having a job and just like being busy. In that same wavelength, I often use New York City to my advantage. Like I try to get my rent's worth. And this city is insanely expensive. And in order to make it work for me, I need to make sure I'm getting my ROI. And the current job I have now, I literally got through networking, through someone that I met here in the city. And so I try to like, as often as I can, like go out, meet people, use it to my advantage to like level up in my career and my ability to also make money and be successful. Could not recommend enough using the geography and the proximity that the city provides us with to our best advantage and using it to level the fuck up whenever we can. Second tip I have, especially with rent, I've lived in quite a few apartments, about 6 since I moved to the city. I have roommates, okay? Incredibly expensive to live alone. Having a roommate has saved me so much money. I live with my boyfriend right now and we've lived together for the past 2 years, and that's also been helpful to get a little bit more space and also like share our expenses. I know that might be a hot take to some people, but yes, me and my boyfriend do share expenses. It is also a very normal thing. I think a lot of people will come on here and tell you that sharing expenses with your partner is weird. I don't think it is. I make money, he makes money, and we both contribute to our bills and expenses. Or more cost efficient places to live in New York City. I am a huge stan of FIDI, the financial district, and you often get a little bit more space. I also lived on the Upper West Side one year. That was like pretty cost efficient, and there's a lot of trains up there and express trains, so you can easily get downtown pretty quickly. Another way to save money in the city that I also feel like a lot of people don't show that live in New York City is I do this. I cook. I try to cook as often as I can, honestly. I go into the office like 4 times a week. So sometimes I get home and I'm like, I'm really tired. I don't want to cook. And I order out. Honestly, October through December of last year were a complete fucking wash. I ordered so much food and I wasted a shit ton of money. You waste so much money. And I know what you're thinking, like groceries are so much more expensive. But personally, I have found so many great discount grocery stores in the city. Can't justify spending like for 2 salads, $40. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Another thing I honestly love doing in the city is walking. They just raised the subway prices here $3 each way, which honestly, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but everyone in New York City will tell you that it adds up. I try to walk everywhere. I also like to live in New York City because it's walkable. So that's kind of how I work out and how I get my exercise in, and also why I save money by not getting a gym membership or anything like that. Another thing I do to save money is I have literally stopped buying coffee out. I actually am almost like a month and a half or so deep in like my no spend on coffee. I got an espresso machine for Christmas from my dad last year, and I'm not even kidding. It has helped me so much in like leveling up my coffee routine and actually just stopping ordering coffee out. Another thing that I started doing this past year is I really stopped buying new clothes. I have so much shit in my closet, and honestly, I go to work, I go through the same work outfits. It feels really good in the moment to buy new clothes, but I almost exclusively never wear them. I started using the app Pickle like literally 3 years ago when it first came out. If you have an event, a wedding, even if you're just having like a girls' night out and you want to get like a cute top for $20, like do that instead of just buying the $60 shirt, or God forbid, the like $200 Reformation shirt that sucks. I don't know if these were helpful or not in terms of my money saving tips. I feel like every single creator that you probably see that lives in an expensive city like New York City looks like they're living a life with like no budgeting. So I really love to see like the refreshing take of, hey, I live in New York City and I'm also on a budget, and I have different ways of saving money and affording how to live here. So let me know, fellow New Yorkers, or really anyone, what your other like money budgeting saving hacks are, because let's fucking normalize being on a budget.
We're a family of 4 living on one income, and I always see the question, like, how do people even do that? So I'm going to tell you a couple things that we do. I think the main concern for people is having a lot of debt and then having to pay for your family. We're in a pretty good place where we don't have a lot of debt, like scary debt. We don't have a bunch of credit cards. We have one credit card, and we never go over the amount that's actually in our bank accounts. And I can talk about our strategy for that and our finances and like paying our bills and stuff. The only debt we have is We have one car payment, which is this car. We have another car, but it's already paid off. We also have a mortgage, and my husband used to have student loans, but any extra money he had, he was like paying that into his student loans. And you can also take a loan out of your 401k, which is what he did. I don't think a lot of people know that you can take a loan out of your 401k, but it's really smart because then you're just paying yourself back instead of throwing your money away to a random bank. So if you have student loans, that's something you should look into. We also only eat out probably once or twice a week. It's usually on Fridays is like our special time to go and get dinner all together. For groceries, we will shop in bulk, so usually Costco, and then we also like to shop at Aldi's and then sometimes like a Kroger, but typically Aldi and Costco. And I know I have a Starbucks in my hand. We don't go to Starbucks every day. We probably go like once or twice, like every other week. But that is also because I am actually aware of like what's going in and out of our bank account. I honestly used to be that person that, yes, I would see what's in our bank account, but I would just like spend whatever I wanted to, and that was not good. So me and my husband like sat down and really talked about our finances. So that is step one, is like actually figuring out what money you do have and what you can and can't spend. And you're going to have to make sacrifices. Like if I know that I'm going to get Starbucks today, I probably can't get Starbucks tomorrow either. I probably can't also go and get Chick-fil-A too for lunch, because then that also, if I spend that money on Chick-fil-A too, that's taking away from our dinner money for when we want to go to dinner on like Friday. This is getting too long, so let me know if you want a part two, and I'll tell you about how we organize our bank accounts, because we probably have like 5 different categories and we section everything off, because I am a visual person and I have to see, okay, how much do I actually have for bills? How much do I actually have for groceries? Because if it's all in just one like checking account, I don't actually know like where all that money is going. So let me know if you want a part two.
I'm a 45-year-old mom of 2 kids. I have an almost 13-year-old and a 10-year-old. While my husband has a really great job, we needed a second income like many of you. It was important that I found something that could work with our schedule. We homeschool, we travel a lot for my husband's job, shuttling the kids around to all different sports and activities. So I needed something that I could work a couple hours a day and from anywhere. A sweet friend of mine introduced me to high ticket sales because it provided just that. With this company, the compensation plan is unmatched. They close your first 20 sales for you, which is like $75,000. Can you think of another company that would do something like that? And you're bringing home anywhere between $1,000 and $8,000 per sale. If you want more information, send me a message and I'll provide you the exact blueprint on how I got started and how the average person in our company makes $20,000 a month.
I actually saw another creator on TikTok do this, talking about how they live off of one income and the economy that we live in. So I was going to walk you guys through that because we do live off of my husband's youth director salary and I stay home. I do work part-time a little bit. I have like clients here and there for my personal training, but that comes and goes and we don't really rely on that income. So like right now this month, I haven't really had a ton of clients, so we're not really relying on that income for stuff. Some of the things that I sacrifice, but I wouldn't really call it a sacrifice because some of them I just don't really care about. So I don't get my nails done. I don't really desire to have my nails done. They're just not something I really desire. And also when you get your nails done, it's kind of full of toxic chemicals, which I'm trying to avoid because I want to have another baby. We shop secondhand a lot. Like a lot of the decorations are in our house are secondhand, which is fine because I want like nicer, long-lasting things that like a grandma used 50 years. We are really particular about like the materials that we buy, like in clothing. I really only try to buy cotton and linen, and if I do, I thrift it or we go to Old Navy because Old Navy has a lot of, like, this isn't a cotton sweater. And Walmart also has a lot of options as well when it comes to natural fibers. So I just have to do a lot of digging. I don't really do impulse purchases when it comes to clothing, or because we can't afford it, and two, because I really want to like the item that I'm buying and not regret it later. Just like I said, we think through our big purchases and we save for them. We don't spend money that we don't have. We don't put money on a credit card. We do have a credit card, but we just use it for our bills and then we pay it off, which builds our credit score, and then we get money back as well. The thing that I guess I sacrifice is we only really go out to eat once a month, if that, which we don't have a ton of restaurants we can go to anyways, and the ones that we go to are expensive because they're such high quality food. So I guess that's a sacrifice, but that's something we just don't do that a normal person does regularly. We do all of the projects on our house. We don't pay somebody to do them. My husband does them because my husband can do anything basically. And if that means going on YouTube and figuring it out, that's what he'll do. Also, his dad is a contractor as well, so we also have that help as well.
And then cars. We do actually have a mechanic. He's from our church. He's very reasonably priced. So if there's something that Nathan doesn't have time to do or doesn't know how to do and can't get it done fast, we will pay him for it if we have the money for it. But if not, Nathan is typically the one that does it. Another thing that we do is, like I said, I mostly cook from home. And by mostly, I mean all the time. I budget out all of our groceries ahead of time, and I make sure that I only spend $100 a week. More between like $100 to $120. And then we really try not to impulse buy like snacks. We really try not to buy snacks. If we do have snacks, we have like the Archer's beef sticks, apples and peanut butter, and like a protein shake. But other than that, that's really about it. Since our meals are so fulfilling, we don't have to really eat a ton of snacks throughout the day. Yeah, those are some of the things that I guess we sacrifice. I don't feel like they're a sacrifice, but those are things that people do pay for. Those are some of the ways that we sacrifice so I can stay home and Nathan can work full time and I'm not constantly at a job, but I'm actually able to take care of our house and cook. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'm not shaming anyone for buying these things, but this is something we do personally. So thanks for watching. Bye guys.